You might recognize this delicious curried coconut red lentil soup that we had the other night. And right now we're having it as a little first course to a new dinner that I made. Unfortunately, I didn't tape a single thing as I made it, but I'm going to show it to you with the recipes once it's ready. And what I made was teriyaki chicken that I grilled on the grill outside. A recipe I saw on America's Test Kitchen, and I wrote it down. Some rice, and I made a new kale salad. So when I come back, I'll have the recipes with me when I have the dishes maybe, and I'll show you the actual recipe. Okay, real quick before I fill up our plates, let me show you. Here's my teriyaki chicken. I grilled it outside on the grill. Here's some cut up. There's a little extra sauce. I'll show you the recipe and you'll see what that is. Here's my plain white rice I cooked. No recipe, just plain white rice. And this is a kale salad called kale salad with miso and pistachios, which I found in my recipes, my files of recipes, and I don't know if I remember it, but then I don't remember much. I won't get into that, but so I'm interested. It's more savory than I think most of the kale salads are. I like to usually put raisins or cranberries or something. But this doesn't have any dried fruit. It had a little bit of sugar in it. I'll show you the recipe. We'll be right back. Dinner time. Here's my teriyaki chicken on top of some plain white rice with a little bit of like a sauce left over from making it. And then here is my what's called kale salad with miso and pistachios. There's Mike's plate. I'll show you Mike when we go to eat dinner. And now let me just show you the recipes. I copied this off of TV, so just so simple though. The chicken teriyaki included. The sauce that I put on there was a combination of a cup of soy sauce, a half a cup of sugar, and 2 tablespoons of mirin, which I knew the other day was in a recipe I was making this week. Anyway, 2 tablespoons of mirin. Those go on the stove in a little saucepan, and you boil it to dissolve the sugar, and you whisk it, and you let it cool. In the meantime, you get 5 cloves of garlic ready, 2-inch piece of ginger, which I peeled and sliced. You put that in the blender with 3/4 cups of the sauce up there after you cool it. So super simple. And then you have 3 pounds of chicken thighs, boneless, skinless chicken thighs. Put those in a plastic bag. Pour what's in the blender on top of it. And you marinate it in the refrigerator for 1 to 24 hours. I probably marinated it for about at least 15, 16, I forget. Plenty of time. And then I just cooked it on the grill with a whole chimney of charcoal that I just spread out evenly. And I cooked it for about 6 minutes. Let me see if you can see my directions. I oiled the grates, opened the vents, put the bone side down, and it says cook uncovered for about 6 minutes till charred. And I did that. I flipped it, and then I charred the other side for just about 6 minutes. And I took it out. A few pieces I left on there a few minutes because they didn't seem to be 175. That is the simple chicken teriyaki. And now here's my kale salad I made. It is called kale salad with miso and pistachios. I found this. I'm not sure where I got this recipe initially. I just 1.5 pounds of kale, stems discarded, and leaves thinly sliced. Well, I started out with a 9-ounce bag of prepared kale, already trimmed and everything. So I'm not sure if it came out exactly the same. That's really a question I have. 3 tablespoons of lemon juice, kosher salt, 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. You put the salt and the lemon juice on the kale and I kind of smushed it together with my hands to get it softened a little. It didn't say to do that. And the dressing is 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, 2 tablespoons of sesame seeds, and it says lightly crushed. Mine were toasted, but I really didn't crush them. I didn't. I missed that part. I actually put in a tablespoon of red miso. I don't know what it means by brown, so I use red. I put a teaspoon of dark brown sugar. I ended up adding a half a teaspoon of white sugar. Like I said, it's a savory kale salad. And then 3 tablespoons of olive oil in the dressing. And then just before I showed you the bowl, I added in 2 thinly sliced scallions and a 1/4 cup of, and in my case, salted roasted pistachios, because that's what I had here. So, pretty simple.
It has a nice chew.
Mike, are you busy? Can I ask you what you think?
It has a nice chew and a nice bite.
And are you referring to the kale salad?
I am.
And is it got any sweetness, or is it super savory?
Savory.
Savory, uh-huh. Have you tried the chicken?
I have.
And?
Nice flavor, very tender.
Mm-hmm.
Nice bit of char on there.
Mm-hmm. And they're right. You know, for a change, when I took the temperature of my chicken, it was just about exactly where I wanted it. So let me give this a taste. I'll be back.
Well, it has a little bit of nice sweetness to it about the chicken.
The chicken, yes, because, well, let me just say the chicken had sugar and soy sauce and mirin, which is a little sweet, in the sauce. So that would explain the sweetness of the sauce.
Go together nicely.
Okay, good. I'm excited. I haven't tried it yet. Although I had a little piece of chicken that broke off. That was good. So I'll be right back. Okay. Woo. A delicious dinner again. I'm really happy. Let me say, first I'll analyze the kale salad. And it is delicious. The only thing I'll say is, I think it could have stood to have a little more kale in it, because it's got a lot of piquantness from the dressing. Not too much oil or anything, because it doesn't have a lot of oil. But I just think you could either reduce the salad dressing by just a touch or put more kale. I could have put more kale in it. Delicious. And it has a little sweetness, I think, a little bit from the sugar, but also from, I guess, the miso is in there that's about the only other thing that would be sweet, would be the miso. But anyway, that is good. That's a keeper. Really easy. Super easy. Not much chopping up. I mean, the kale, yeah, I sliced it thin. Now to the teriyaki chicken. First off, I want to say, I never used to rinse white rice. But once I learned that you should rinse basmati rice and also jasmine rice to get the starch off of it, it comes out much more separate. Well, tonight, maybe for the first time ever, I rinsed plain old white rice. And it made a big difference. The rice came out beautiful. Really nice and fluffier than plain old white rice usually. And I think it's the rinsing. And now to the chicken. Delicious. Like Mike said, so tender. Really delicious.
And the flavor of the grill.
It's got the grill. This is the first time I've used the grill this year. I don't usually get around. Anyway, it started raining right when I went out there, but it just drizzled the whole time. Anyway, I think I was going to say something about the chicken, and now I can't. Maybe it was the rice and this teriyaki chicken. Everything is super simple. I've got to say, this is, kale salad took a little time. I made it earlier today, so easy peasy. I marinated the chicken overnight, and give it all a try. Delicious and a good combination.
Enjoy.
So, yeah. One more thing I wanted to add, because earlier when I showed you a little measuring cup and it had what looked like a brown sauce, which I did pour over both of our plates of chicken. What it was the combination of the soy, sugar, and mirin that were cooked and dissolved that was left over after I took out 3/4 of a cup to put on the marinade. So it was approximately a half of a cup left that was used to put on top of our chicken and our rice. And oh, it's so good. Soy sauce, mirin, and sugar. Delish. Anyway, that's it for this evening. See you next time.